Brighton and Liverpool. Brighton's plus
Oh,
240. Liverpool's plus 110. The draw here
What a
is
weekend.
plus 260.
what a weekend.
I don't even know if we need to discuss this at all.
I know.
Because if you've
It's
been listening,
it's so
if you're
easy.
new to this podcast, here's a spoiler. All three of us are going to be on Brighton. If you're old to this podcast, you know exactly what we're going to say. Bet Brighton here. The Seagulls are 4-2-5 under De Zerbi in the Premier League, plus 1 goal differential in that time. 21 goals scored.
Crazy.
20 goals
They're
against.
they're so good.
18.3 goals, expected goals for, 16.5 expected goals allowed. That is the key here. They're an offensive dynamo, and they're going to be playing a really pedestrian by their standards defense that's missing Virgil van Dijk. I don't really think you need to go much further.
Standard.
Yeah, I don't really need to go much further than that. So I'll pass it over to you guys. It's going to be funny. I mean, I would love to see Jurgen Klopp just set up, park the bus.
He has to.
Yeah, like what else?
Like literally, that's what he has to do if he wants any chance of keeping Brighton off the board. Like I'm dead serious. Like this is insane. So Liverpool,
they're not going to do that.
I know.
I know they're not going to do that. But Anthony, I mean, you know this. You've seen what Brighton has been able to do. I mean, they did it under Zerbi's first match in charge against Liverpool. They completely went right through the middle of the pitch. They beat him on the wings. They beat him everywhere. And if Liverpool, okay, here's the big thing with Liverpool. And it's like, all right, everybody says, what's the problem with Liverpool right now? Why are they so bad defensively? Why aren't they playing like the Liverpool that we've seen the past 2 years? They're not being able to run people over in the midfield anymore. And so they're just old. And it's something Anthony said had been, a couple podcasts ago, is that Jordan Henderson, Thiago, Fabinho, they're just getting old and they just can't cover ground like they used to. And I read a wonderful article in The Analyst. I apologize. I don't remember the name of the author who wrote it, but Liverpool, essentially what they're doing right now is that Darwin Nunez is typically on an island up front as a 9, and Salah and whoever's playing on the left usually like to push wide to push the defense out, create space in the middle so that they can make runs into the box. Well, right now Liverpool is having to play a midfield usually of Fabinho, Thiago, and Harvey Elliott. Harvey Elliott's just not a guy who's going to make runs in the box. He's much more of a ball carrier, creator, somebody who's going to get the ball on to Darwin Nunez, Salah, whoever, which means Thiago or Fabinho or Jordan Henderson, whatever combination is playing, or the other two midfield spots, they're the ones having to make runs into the box, which once Liverpool loses the ball, they are incredibly exposed in transition defense. And like you guys already mentioned, someone like Virgil van Dijk in the past has cleaned up a lot of that mess. Well, now they don't have him. Obviously, I think Ibrahim Konate is a fine replacement. Like I'm not going to overreact to Virgil van Dijk being out. It might, that's my point, is that it might be an upgrade because what you'll see a lot is people being like, oh my gosh, this is what Liverpool was defensively in 2021 when Van Dijk was out. Matip and Joe Gomez were also out that entire season. And now we're in a situation where Van Dijk's out and that's it. So I don't think Liverpool's defense is really going to completely drop off, but they have still been pretty bad. And this is something that we've been mentioning, is that Liverpool's 10th in non-penalty expected goals allowed. Like they're 11th in big scoring chances allowed. And Alisson is still running ridiculously hot. He's a +9 post-shot XG ±. And if we go back to the first match, where it was a 3-3 just chaotic draw between Brighton and Liverpool, Brighton went up 2 goals early. And what it was is they forced a couple high turnovers. They're obviously a very good pressing team. And if you have problems in the midfield, Brighton is not the team you want to face, because Brighton can play right through the middle of the pitch. They can play out wide. Mitoma has become like literally the best ball carrier in the Premier League by all the metrics that everybody sees. He's going to be going against Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's a terrible defender. So there's so many problems here for Liverpool. I really, really question how they're going to defend Brighton. Now, obviously, De Zerbi has been playing very open, which obviously leads to these chaotic matches, but I don't see how Liverpool is going to keep Brighton out of the net. So, and just from a price point standpoint, Arsenal was +115, like what, a week and a half ago at Brighton, and now Liverpool's +105. So the market's telling you, even with all the injuries, oh, by the way, Diego Jota, Luis Diaz, probably Bobby Firmino are going to be out, all still going to be out for this match. Like, this is an insane price. So obviously we're all going to be betting Brighton. I'm thinking Brighton over 1.5 goals. I'm thinking Brighton reverse puck line. I'm thinking Brighton money line, and obviously Brighton +0.5. You might want a same game parlay that, but yeah. Any way you want to bet Brighton, this is I feel very similar to this spot as I did when United went to Brentford, when Chelsea went to Brighton, when Chelsea went to Brentford. Essentially, it's just Brighton or Brentford whenever they get one of the big 6 teams that's on a bad run. Like, these are the spots you absolutely dream of if you bet the Premier League. So yes, we will all be on Brighton.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, the most fun I've had all year in the Prem was probably that Brentford Liverpool game. Victory lap time. Like, we talked about transition issues. We talked about set piece issues for Liverpool defensively. All came to bear in the first half against Brentford. And then, FanDuel forgot that Ivan Toney was out and didn't alter the anytime goal scorers on Wisa and Mbeumo. So it ended up being a very fun afternoon. And of course, it's always fun when Liverpool goes down, despite VAR's attempts to save them. But yeah, I agree with you guys. I mean, we don't have to repeat all this. I think Arsenal is marginally better than Liverpool. Liverpool's better price here, similar price than the Arsenal was at Brighton 2 weeks ago. Mitoma, you mentioned him, 3rd in the Prem in successful dribbles per 90 amongst players with at least 5
Alexander-Arnold. Him and Solly March doing overlaps. It's going to be great.
Yes, and that's the thing. Like, Mitoma's awesome, and another W for the Brighton scouting department. But yeah, the goals, they don't do as well on set pieces, so like that's not as quite as much of an advantage. But I mean, I love a lot of unders in the Prem right now. I think all these teams have run really well. These are 2 teams where I will not touch an under at the current number. I almost like the over. BTTS over 2.5 has been like the cash cow of cash cows under Zerbi. You want to keep riding that. I don't hate it either. But yeah, I like Brighton.